Hello, I'm Jen Smith and I manage the MLP flock here at Chiswick. My job today is to tell you about where things are up to and the year that was for the New England Merino Sire evaluation and the MLP project that's here at Chiswick. As you know, we haven't been able to run our actual annual field day this year. We hope that what we've organised here is going to be a reasonable alternative. This property is owned and operated by CSIRO. It's about 1,500 hectares of grazing land that's predominantly used for grazing livestock research across several disciplines. We are supposed to be in about an 800mm annual rainfall, and the altitude here is at about 1,100 metres. Many of you would already know about the design of this project and the background of the flock. The design is based around the ewe progeny of lambs born in 2017 and 2018 from AI, and they are the female progeny of 28 industry sires. The ewe base is superfine ewes, approximately 17 micron average adult fibre diameter, and they're about a good 70s quality count. About 2/3 of the base ewes came from the Chiswick station flock, and the other 1/3 are ewes that come out of the CSIRO AWI breech strike genetics flock. They're a little bit different. They have diverse ancestry, but they have some other good characteristics in that they have deep pedigree and they were really well measured for lots of traits, and they're well linked to industry through sheep genetics. For the first 2 years of the project, the sheep have been in the New England Central Test Sire evaluation. That's just about coming to an end now when we shear the 2018 drop in a few weeks' time. At that time, the sheep will move into the MLP project. They continue to be measured for the rest of their lives for the whole range of traits that we've measured so far. So that includes things like the fleece traits, growth traits, conformation, disease, as well as reproductive performance until they are 6.5 and 5.5 year old, depending on whether they're the 17 or 18 drop ewes. These ewes now get mated naturally in syndicate mating, and the lambs that they have actually leave the MLP project at weaning. With regard to the production calendar, we run a spring lambing here, so we're lambing in September. That means that we're mating in April and we're weaning in December. The adult ewes get shorn in July, and for the month or so before that, we're pretty flat out with a whole lot of measuring jobs. We do 2 different sorts of sheep classing, a whole bunch of assessed traits, both fleece and conformation. They're side sampled, and preg scanning also happens just before shearing. And then after shearing, we do another set of assessed traits after that. The 2 sheep classes that are involved in this project are Angus Carter from Nutrien in Armidale and Andrew Calvert from Tasmania, but because of the COVID-19 thing, we haven't been able to have Andrew come here this year. Not only do we do all those jobs with the ewes, but we also run the weather portion of the progeny, and we measure pretty much everything on them as well as the ewes, that is except for the repro traits. And we also do some other things with the ewes that are outside of the core sire evaluation and MLP project. And in particular, the biggest one of those is that we record birth traits on these ewes. And that is a pretty big job, but it gives us a whole lot of really good extra information about the reproductive performance of these ewes and the lamb mortality that they experience. We'll talk more about that later on in CSIRO's presentations about additional work. So weather-wise, we've pretty much had it all in the last 12 months. Those of you that were here in 2018 or 2019 for the field days would know that we were in a pretty bad drought for most of that time. The ewes have been supplementary fed or full hand fed for nearly their entire lives, up until just recently. AWI have helped us out in that respect with the cost of feed. Stock water security became a bit of an issue late last year, but that's resolved itself now. We had a lot of dust storms in the second half of last year, and many months where the place was surrounded by smoke haze because we had bushfires burning in pretty much every direction around us. We had a few snowfalls in the winter, and then in January it rained, and it rained a lot. So we had more rain in January of this year than we had for the whole of 2019. The rain did a fair bit of damage to the pastures and infrastructure, but it's all pretty good now. In the last few months, the sheep have had grass in front of them for the first time in a long time, and it looks like we'll get a fair way into the winter this year without having to do too much supplementary feeding. But we will probably start to feed the twin-bearing ewes once we take the wool off them shortly. As I mentioned earlier, we have quite a wide range of sheep types in this flock, and that can be a challenge at times. So for the whole time that these sheep were young sheep, we were pretty much in drought, and that meant that they probably didn't get challenged as well as they could have been for things like fleece rot and body strike and worms. So that's a bit unfortunate, because those sheep types that actually can handle a wet summer probably haven't had the opportunity to shine through as well as they might have. We have had quite a bit of trouble with fly strike in this flock in the last few months, and because it's been pretty wet and mild, the fly season has gone on for quite a long time. That's probably going to mean that we're going to need to change our fly control program for the years going forward for this particular flock. This is an unmulsed flock, and we are used to running unmulsed sheep. We haven't mulsed sheep on the Chiswick property since 2009, but there are some sheep in this MLP flock that are quite wrinkly, and they're certainly the ones that have borne the brunt of the fly problem that we've seen in the last few months. That's about it for now. We hope you like the information that we're putting together for this field day. Please get in touch if you have any questions, and tune in to our other presentations where we're going to talk about some of the additional activities that we have going on with these sheep. So cheers for now.